biggest thing I learned, especially with women, is they're all obsessed with savages, right? Not just men who look good, not just men, they're just pure savages, right? Obviously, you got to be a civilized savage, which means you can't be just an all-out brute, because then you're going too far. But they're literally obsessed with these types of men. And here's something that comes from my experience, right? And I'm just going to speak from my experience. I'm not saying that this is everyone else's experience. I'm not saying this is the right way to go, but I'm saying from my experience and what being a savage taught me about women is very, very interesting, because when I was growing up, I was always conditioned to be the opposite of a savage, which is almost what I like to call a peon, right? Somebody who genuinely gets walked on, somebody who doesn't necessarily have their own opinion, somebody who doesn't speak up for themselves, somebody who's fucking weak, all of that. That's what I was conditioned to be. Right? It would get to a point where, like, my mom was like, you have to stay skinny, right? Like, I don't like you when you put on muscle. I don't want to see that. So I would always fall for that, right? I was a sheep. I was a pawn, a peon, right? And I would always see, this was in high school. This really happened in high school the most, and even junior high, where my looks were good to where I could attract women to a certain extent. Like they would always want to talk to me. Like, it wasn't like I was some weirdo that looked bad, right? So I could always start the conversation. But as the conversation went on, as I tried to go forward with certain things, I would always get shut down, right? And I would always wonder, it's like, bro, you look good. Like, it's not like you're ugly. Like, you look pretty good. But you would always, like, every single time you want to take that next step, or you know what next step I'm talking about, right? Like, you start to talk about other things, you immediately get shut down, or you get ghosted, or something happens, right? This would happen to me all the time. And I started noticing the type of guys that don't have that problem. And they were all fucking savages, bro. And so what is a savage, right? A savage is a guy who looks the part. You look like a fucking savage. Your body, you have muscle, you're shredded, you look good, like you have the confidence, you have the authority, you don't give a fuck what anybody thinks, you move at life on your own pace. That's a savage, right? And you do anything. You don't care if somebody says it's hard, you still go do it, and you literally achieve every single thing. And people just look at you like, wow, how the fuck are you able to do that? So I was the opposite of that growing up. And so all of this changed initially when I was in college. My freshman year, I remember, because I went into college having the same exact mindset, and I was quickly humbled in college because the girls that I wanted to talk to were talking to the other guys, the other guys who were savages, who were living on their own pace, right? Like, they were doing their own shit. They were skipping class to go do whatever the fuck they want to do. They were making money in ways that, you know, they made money, whatever that looks like. They were just living life on their own terms, and they didn't give a fuck what anybody thought. They wore what they wanted to wear. They weren't concerned about what somebody else said. They didn't believe anything that anybody said because they had their own beliefs, they had their own thoughts, they had their own emotions, and they had their own actions that they took. And this was highly attractive to women. So what I started to do was I started to transform my physique, because I was, number one, I was skinny, I was scrawny, I didn't necessarily have the muscle, I didn't have the aesthetic to command respect, to command power, to have that status. I didn't have any of that shit. So I literally took it upon myself the summer of my freshman year, after having some successes, but I didn't have the women that I really wanted, right? They were all going for these specific type of guys. So I was like, man, I have to have the look of a savage. I have to have a savage aesthetic, right? So I started to build my physique to now have this savage aesthetic. I built crazy amounts of muscle. Like, I was lean. I had a crazy six pack. I still do. I still have all this. But like, at that time, that was the first step to my transformation of becoming a savage. And immediately I started seeing the change in women's faces. I started to see a lot of the shit that I wasn't seeing when I was in high school, where I was just hooping and I was skinny, I was scrawny. Yeah, I had the status because I was on varsity, I was doing all this shit. But when it came to actually actually commanding respect and to commanding attention from women, I didn't have that shit. I was always timid. I was always thinking about what other people thought. I flipped the switch with my body, because now I became the dude that what women call narcissists. They call them narcissists. Savages are quote unquote narcissists, right? Because they don't give a fuck and they care about themselves, right? And they focus on themselves, and they make sure that they're straight before anybody else is straight. That's a narcissist, right? And they make sure that they show what they have. And so I started to adapt these traits naturally, because as I changed my body, I had a new level of standard that I held for myself. I had a new level of discipline. Nobody was telling me not to be in the gym at 6 in the morning, even after I partied hard, right? I still had vices, and that's the other thing. Savages have vices, right? Savages always have vices. They always have shit that society thinks is wrong that they do anyway. And they transcend that shit through intensity. The intensity of their discipline, the intensity of the shit that they get done. They get shit done to the point where you can't even fault them on their vices because they're fucking winning. That's what I started to realize. I'm like, women love winners. They love savage winners, right? So I started to adapt this. I was partying whenever I wanted to, waking up, feeling hungover, but still going to the gym, still knocking it down, still making sure my diet was straight, eating whatever the fuck I wanted 20% of the time, but 80% of the time I was strict on my diet, right? And women were starting to ask me about that shit. They're like, man, how are you so disciplined? And you start to get to a point where you move at your own rhythm in life, and people are almost forced to have to move to your rhythm. And women love that shit. So I started to see a difference, and women started coming in droves because I had my own dress style that I had. I remember I used to wear different Vans and shit all at the time. That was the thing, right? I was wearing whatever Vans I wanted. I was wearing skinny jeans. I was wearing like the little cut off capri jeans and shit. I had my own unique style to me, like this West Coast style to me. And I was in Boston on the East Coast. So a lot of women like didn't really know the East Coast style. I had put that shit away because again, it was the peon mindset where I was like, shit, I'm moving to the East Coast. I got to start wearing Uggs and all this other shit. And I got to start being a prep boy because I was going to one of the top schools in the country and it was all white people. It was all prep boys and they were wearing all this shit. So I thought I had to do the same shit, but I didn't stand out, right? So once I started to adapt who the fuck I wanted to be, I had a new haircut. I was growing my hair at that time because it was short, because my family, the way that they brought me up was never grow your hair too long. It's messy, it's sloppy, it's gross. I was like, fuck that, I'm gonna grow my hair out, right? So I grew my hair out. I had a completely different look, and I walked through and I could just see the change. Women were like, who the fuck is this? And I wouldn't pay them any mind, right? Because the savage puts nobody on a pedestal. Not even people that are more successful to them. They don't put them on a pedestal. And I started learning this the hard way because when I started training executives and I was training CEOs, I stopped putting them on a pedestal and they were more attracted to me, right? They were attracted to me because I saw them as regular people. And it was the same with women. I took that same exact approach with women. It's like, I see all women as the same people. I see you take a shit, I take a shit. We all take shits. We good. You're not any better than me because what, you have some titties and you have some ass, you better than me? No, right? So I started to have this savage mindset where it was like, yo, like, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're going to respect me, right? If anything, sometimes I would have the mindset, internal confidence, right? You don't want to be cocky where you say this shit out loud, but people can feel it where you're like, man, I'm better than you. What the fuck you talking about? You know what I mean? I would have that certain level of confidence that a lot of society thinks is bad and they call it cocky and they call it arrogant and they say be humble and shit like that. Yeah, show off some humbleness. Like, and it's funny because I'm saying show off humbleness, right? Be humble to society because that's what wealthy people do. They show you this humility on the outside, but on the inside, they're like, man, I could fuck you up. Like, man, I'm better than you. I could do better than you. I'm always better than you, right? You have to have that internal level of confidence, which I started to build because I was in the gym. I was training. I looked better than most people. I started to look better than most people. I had better discipline than most people. And my confidence started to go crazy. And see, the savage has crazy confidence in himself. Right? So as I started to get this, I started to see women come in and women would literally throw themselves. Like I wouldn't even have to like initiate shit. Like I'll tell you, I have a girl in the room and again, I didn't want to have the whole Me Too shit, right? Because I'm a black dude in a campus full of white girls, right? Like and black girls too. I still have my, like, fun fact for all y'all that say, oh, you only like snow bunnies. I was with a black girl for most of my college career. Right? After that sophomore year period, boom, right? And everybody wanted her, right? Everybody in school wanted her, all that shit, right? But I was able to get her because I didn't give a fuck. I used to say exactly what it was that I wanted to say. I would literally say, like, I remember I had crazy views, like, about the whole, like, transsexual shit, about the whole pride shit. I would just say that's all bullshit. Like, I would literally speak my mind. I would say everything that came to mind. All of the fucking liberal debates that they would have, I would say that's all bullshit. And it's funny because that same girl would be mad at me, but again, that was the same girl I got with, right? And so it's the same shit where it's like you don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. You just say what it is that you truly believe. You don't hold back. I never held back. That's what a savage does, right? And I would go for big fucking goals. I went to be one of the top personal trainers in the gym that was right next to me. It started to make mad money because I didn't give a fuck. I was like, I'm young, but I could still be better than these veterans out here that have been training for 20 years. And my numbers showed that shit, right? So, and that's what women love the most, because I was getting money. I had the physique, I had the confidence, I was bulletproof. And I carried this shit on for a very long period of time, and it taught me a lot. And I would fall out of this mindset and I would get right back to the peon mindset over the years. And it just taught me a valuable lesson, man. Like, women love fucking savages. They love somebody who can put them in their place when they clearly need to be put in their place. They like someone who can literally put a container around life. Like, have boundaries, but let them play around with their because women are chaotic. Right? So you have to have some level of boundaries to be able to let them play in that boundary, right? They always want to have masculine boundary. I learned that shit, right? That's the mindset of a savage. You have to be able to control chaos, right? And I also learned you gotta have fun. You gotta have fun as a fucking savage. Like, I remember when I fell back into the peon mindset after college, right, which is how some of my relationships broke down, I was always the guy who was always asking them, hey, would you want to go here? Hey, would you want to go here? Versus like, nah, I'm going here. You want to come with me, right? Inviting them to where you want to go, because you are setting the fucking pace. See, as a savage with women, you have to set the fucking pace. And every time I didn't do that and say, well, where would you? Oh, this alarm is crazy. Why the fuck do I have an alarm right now? Whenever you would say, well, where would you want to go? I don't know where to go. And they'd say, I don't know where to go. Where do you want to go? It's like, well, wherever you want to go, they get turned the fuck off. Why? Because you're not assuming the masculine role. You're not assuming that savageness of like, I want to go here. Do you want to come with me? I'm going here regardless, right? And that gives them that like interest. That gives them that like edge, right? It's like, oh shit, like, he does his own shit, like, cool, right? Obviously, if they really want to go somewhere, I'll go. I'm just telling you from a mindset of where you might be at right now to where you need to be. You have to be that savage, right? And another thing is my discipline and my non-negotiables were literally non-negotiables. They would be with me and I'd wake up at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. to go train at the gym, right? I would make sure that I was making my meals and shit. They'd be around me. I lived with women. They'd be around me when I was making meals. That was when I had the greatest attraction, right? And I'm not saying this for the fuck boys out there, because I'm not in that life anymore. I'm not over here moving around. Like, I'm in long-term relationships, right? I'm in a long-term relationship. And it's cool because the same concept matters in a long-term relationship more than even just flings, because flings, you can get away with certain shit, but when you get into real relationships, you get tested, bro. You get tested every single day. And some men aren't built for that shit, bro. I'm telling you, if you're not a savage, don't get in a fucking relationship, because that relationship will run your whole life. That woman will run your whole life, right? And then she'll resent you, and then she'll leave and get with the guy who's the fucking savage, who doesn't give a fuck what she says and does what the fuck he wants, right? Obviously, respectfully, you're not disrespecting women at all. That's not what I'm saying. But you got to get to a point where it's like, everything you do is on your own terms. You achieve massive goals. You say what the fuck you're going to do and you go do it relentlessly. Even if you fail, you get back up and you get big, you get better, right? Like, that's the thing. It's like, men, I hear a lot of the concept of like, oh, well, women only like you when you're winning. No, women like the fact that if you can lose, you can get back up, because it shows resiliency and it shows certainty. It shows that you are the man that will never fully fail. You may always have setbacks and you'll always bounce back. It's the same, my girl now. It's like, she seen me at my lowest. She seen me when I bounced back real quick and got back to where I needed to be. Like, there's no doubt in her mind that I can't do what the fuck I need to do. And she always tells me all the time, she's like, I believe in you so much more than you would ever think. Anything you do works. Like, you're one of the smartest people I know. You want women like that around you, but you have to be a fucking savage. And you have to not give a fuck what anybody thinks, especially what she thinks sometimes. You have to override that shit and give her the belief like, yo, this is what is going to happen. This is what we're going to do this. We're going to do that. And you have to be spontaneous. You have to be fun. You can't be this fucking monk trying to basically close yourself off and not go places. That was another big problem, right? You see, people who aren't savages, they don't necessarily like to go out. They don't like to do spontaneous shit. And women get bored and they go find somebody else who could do that shit. You got to always be spontaneous. Even with sex, you have to be the type of guy like pull her in and just take her in the room and do what you got to do, bro. You know what I mean? Do what you got to do. But again, it really works when you in long-term relationships, because now you with the woman that you know wants you all the time, and you know it's not a problem. I know the Me Too movement is real. I know that shit is fucking real. But my whole take on this is like, find a woman that you can be long-term with, right? And be spontaneous, bro. Like fulfill your urges, like your sexual urges that you have. Granted, you're not this celibacy dude that's like, I'm not gonna have sex until marriage, whatever. I'm talking about normal people, bro. And I was that guy, by the way, and that shit broke down because, again, I was killing my vices. My vice was I wanted to have sex, and I buried that shit so much to where I just exploded, and I went on a fucking spree. I don't even know what the fuck my body count is. I don't give a fuck, but like, I don't know. I never counted. I never cared, but it's probably a good amount. And it's like, I had to go through that process because I restricted myself so much. See, the savage doesn't restrict himself. The savage has so much discipline because he allows himself to indulge in urges. And it's very attractive to women when a savage can indulge in urges, but also have some discipline at the same time to transcend those urges and not let those urges or those vices master him, right? That's why that edge, women like bad boys, because bad boys can do shit that's considered to society as bad, but for some reason they're still disciplined and they're still fucking winning. You being a loser and still jumping into vices doesn't make you a bad boy. That makes you a fucking loser, right? So you have to be able to do all of that shit to be able to succeed in what it is that you want to do, and have a woman literally look at you like a god, like, damn, I can't leave this. And so as I started to understand this with the failings that I've had in previous relationships, with the successful relationship that I have right now, I've realized that the savage will always win. Even if a woman is mad at you for taking a stand, for saying what it is that you want to say, for keeping it real, for saying what the fuck it is that you want to do, at the end of the day, she will respect you and she will come back to you over and over and over and over again. But the minute you slip into that peon mindset and you start to let her dictate terms, you start to not do what the fuck you want to do, you start not to create spontaneous things, you start to be afraid. You're like, oh, I don't think she wants to have sex today, so I'm just gonna not even try. This was me, bro. In previous, it was just like, bro. And then I would get the same thing in my head. I'd get the same talk from the woman, like, oh, like, you just didn't initiate. Like, I would have been fine if you initiated. Now, again, I learned something, right? If she's not fully attracted to you completely, you have to be a fucking savage and cut her off immediately. And that's why women like savages, because they can't test savages, because savages will walk the fuck away, whether it's in a marriage or in a relationship. I don't give a fuck. If my respect gets tested, if you disrespect me, you out. I've told my girl this many times, right? And she knows that, and she will never do anything to disrespect me. And she knows what the consequences are. But that's the savage that you have to have. That's the energy that a lot of men are missing right now, which is why they're weak, which is why they're fat. When they get in relationships, they get fat as fuck, or they get super skinny. They stop getting in really good shape. The woman loses attraction to them, and the woman's like, oh, it's okay, I still like you for your personality, Billy, right? That's why Billies are pawns. Tyrones are savages, right? Or if you white, you a Chad. You a Chad, bro. But you get the point, bro. You have to get to a point where you're so in tune with who you are, and you don't restrict anything, and you literally move with life like you own life. You grab life by the balls and you make it do whatever the fuck you want. Not the woman, by the way, but life, right? And the woman will just follow you and she'll adore you, bro. Like, she'll look at you. Like, I remember I post some physique photos on Instagram, not to thirst trap or anything, but just to inspire my following. My following is 95% guys, to be entirely honest, which I want, right? I don't want a bunch of women looking at my shit. Like, I don't give a fuck. But I will have a lot of women who will do heart emojis and like respond and say crazy shit. But like, none of that shit is cool until the woman that I'm with says, oh my God, like, I can't believe I have you. Like, this is the shit that I have. You join my free Telegram if you want to see like what the fuck happens. But it's like that, I'm telling you, like, that's really what the fuck happens. Like, and it's good for me because it tells me that I'm doing the right shit. I'm always doing the right shit. Even if I have a bad month in business, bro, that shit doesn't affect my relationship. My girl doesn't say, oh, I gotta leave him because he had a bad month. No, she always knows he's gonna bounce back because he's a fucking savage. Like, there's shit that I say, like, I'll walk around and be like, damn, that shit look good as fuck. I'll look at her and say that. I'll look down and say that, and she'll smile and she'll start blushing, and we'll go in the room. We'll do whatever. But that's spontaneity. I'm not shy about shit. Too much of y'all are very shy about who you are, especially on first dates that you have, man. Like, don't be shy about who the fuck you are. You are who you are. Have the abundance. Savage men have abundance, bro. They have abundance mindsets to where, like, it don't matter if the woman doesn't fuck with you because of who you are. You know there's another one that will, because you're working on yourself so hard. You're transforming yourself so well that you just think, damn, that's the mindset. Like, damn, she gone. I mean, honestly, the whole point is, like, I'm a stock. I'm like Google. I'm in the beginning stages right now. She just left the train early. There's going to be another one that picks up, and there's going to be another one that will stay with me long enough for me to actually reach the peak of that stock price, right? My stock price ain't high right now, but I know it's going up. That's the mindset you always got to have. And that with women, right? Like, women who just don't want to fuck with you because of who you are, fuck that. You know what I mean? And by the way, when you become a savage, all women will fucking love you. All of them. Because you're just you. You're just you. And you'll learn that women will most likely want a savage who doesn't necessarily fit all of their criteria when it comes to, like, what they're comfortable with, versus a guy who's a fucking peon that fits all of their criteria. They'd rather go with the guy who's hard-headed, that actually takes life by the balls and does whatever the fuck he wants. Because women have this desire to somewhat tame a beast, right? It's like the Beauty and the Beast shit. You want to make that beast, that savage, into a civilized person. And so they'll make it their lifelong quest to do that shit. And that's what I'm saying. You got to be that beast at all times. You got to be that savage, because that's really what it takes. That's what I've learned about women, man. Like, women obsess over savages, and they throw away peons, bro. They get with peons for some safety for a little bit. Then they go find a savage and they go fuck with the savage. I've gotten cheated on because I wasn't a savage. I was a peon. I was just sitting at home, being at home, grinding and shit, thinking that I'm doing everything. In my head, I have this fucking arc that I'm on. Y'all talk about the arc, the winter arc and shit. Bro, you're not getting nothing out of that. Maybe that can help you if you take some time to yourself. Absolutely. But, like, you gotta be because the person that I got cheated on was spontaneous, and he didn't even look better than me. That's the craziest part about this shit, right? It blew my mind. It made me think, like, damn, bro. It is about looks, but it's also about the energy, and it's about having that savage mindset and being so spontaneous and making life interesting. You know what I mean? That's what the savage does. The savage life is always interesting. Their setbacks are always interesting. When they're at the bottom, when they're on ground zero, they fucking laugh. You know how that turns on a woman when you something fucks up and you just start laughing and you're like, I'll get that shit back. That shit turns them on. You know what I mean? Obviously they want you to win, but, like, you gotta understand that, fellas. Like, I know this may be basic information for some of y'all, but, like, this is the shit that helped me. It was getting my physique in check and getting a savage mindset. Savage physique, savage mindset. That's what it was, right? And that's been my ethos my whole life. That's why I've succeeded in everything that I've always put my mind to. Because I have that savage mindset. I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. I don't give a fuck about anybody's limitations. I don't give a fuck about what the world will see. I don't give a fuck about my feelings. I just do shit. And I just make shit happen. I want to go start a tech company. People thought I was crazy. They're like, bro, how are you going to start a tech company and you've never had one before? And you don't even understand the terms. How are you going to talk to investors? I made that shit happen anyway because of my savage mindset, right? And because of my savage physique, I impose my will on life. Right? Now, I'm very passionate about this shit, man. But if you want to learn more about this, join the free Telegram, right? Civilized Savage. You got to become a savage, bro. You got to become a savage in your physique, and you got to become a savage in your mindset. And both of them work in tandem, right? Will I be putting some shit out about this? Absolutely. But join the Telegram right now. DM me if you want more mentorship around this one-on-one coaching, or actually it's one-on-one, but it's also group coaching, because I want to have a savage, I'm going to call it like savage camp, right? Where every guy comes in and it's like savage, like you hitting goals and goals and goals. You're shifting your identity fast. You're training hard as fuck every day. You're showing receipts on everything that you do. You're showing receipts on discipline. You're talking with guys who have a similar mindset or working towards a similar mindset. You're led by me. I want that type of culture, man. That's what the fuck I want. It's almost like a digital fight club. That's what the fuck I want to create. That's what I am creating, right? And you can join the Telegram and be early to that shit. I'm rebranding Multidimensional Academy into Savage Camp, right? Because I want all the guys that I already have in there to have this mindset, because on all the group calls I have, the biggest issue that I see with a lot of these men is that they're not fucking savages. When they talk to me about women, it's like, bro, you're not a fucking savage. You don't look like a savage and you don't act like one and you don't have the mentality of one, right? So that's what I need to install in the minds of all of you, right? And that's what I want to talk about the most. The spiritual shit's cool, bro. I might still dabble in that a little bit on the channel, but I'm realizing off of previous videos of all the comments, it's like, y'all just want to be savages in life. You want life to go your way. And I'm going to teach you how to do that because I've achieved it myself. I've gotten financial freedom. I've gotten health freedom, physical freedom. Like I could go fight whenever I want. I'm strong as fuck. I don't have any ailments. I'm good. I can enjoy whatever the fuck I want. I can go to parties. I can do whatever the fuck I want and still be in immaculate health, still make money, still be location free. I can go wherever the fuck I want. Whatever my girl wants, we can go get that. Whatever the fuck I want to do, I can do it, and I want you to do the same. So join the free Telegram or DM me on Instagram if you want access to the Savage Camp. It's going to be one of the greatest things. I want, and again, I thought Multidimensional Academy was going to be the thing until I realized that the problem, y'all don't want to be multidimensional. You want to own life. You want to take over your life. You want control. You want to be able to bend life to your will, and I teach you how to do that shit. So we going on 26 minutes right now, but I appreciate you. I hope this was helpful. I hope this was inspiring. I hope you learned something. It's not just about women, but I know that that's what y'all really look at. So I'm always going to add that in there for you. But I hope that was helpful for you. Comment below whatever topics you guys want me to talk about. Everything's going to be under the perspective of a savage because that's just who I am. That's my thought process. I'm a warrior, right? Like I've had the warrior spirit my whole life, just caged in, and I finally unleashed that shit. I remember when I was a sophomore and my life fucking changed. And I've always went back to that peon mindset, that peaceful monk mindset. You guys have probably seen me in that recently, a peaceful monk, right? I'm talking about crazy spiritual shit. I still read spiritual books and shit like that. But I'm integrating it with who I really am, which is a fucking savage. Who doesn't necessarily care about what anybody thinks. I'm not going to be apologetic here, right? I get people in the comments, bro, be humble. It's like, shut the fuck up. What have you accomplished? I don't care, right? That's my energy, but I have to sometimes dull that down. I think I do. Again, it's going off of that peon mindset, right? The peon doesn't care about himself. He cares about what other people think. He gets triggered by when somebody else who's a non-playable character, an NPC with no profile picture, no content whatsoever, is dictating how they should talk in front of a fucking camera. When that person has been doing it for a year consistently and has consistent results from that shit and consistent emails of how I've changed men's lives, consistency. I've actually made an impact versus the people who talk shit in the comments. They've just been keyboard warriors. That's it. I'll never go under somebody's comment section and say, "Oh, be more humble, bro." What the fuck? You know how peon that is, bro? I never do that. I'll never tell someone to dim their light. I'll try to pour gasoline on that shit and make it brighter. I tell my homies this. I'm like, bro, believe in yourself, bro. You could do that shit. I don't give a fuck. I don't care if somebody appears arrogant. Good. The world needs more of that. Arrogant, competent men. Not arrogant just to be fucking arrogant, but arrogant because you know in your heart of hearts that you are that guy. You are him. All right, man, this is another fucking motivational video. But I appreciate y'all, and I'll catch you on the next video.